Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. I'm back. Okay. If you guys did not, can you turn TV down? Thank you. If you guys didn't see the last video, my eyes are burning. I have laughed so hard. So while I was in the middle of talking about Sean Diddy Combs, the fire alarm goes off. I told you guys in that first video, this trip has been a trip since we started. So the alarm goes off. You guys are like, Pam, get out of there. Your life is in danger. Run. I was like, still trying to do a nice, professional ending here. And I'm like, okay, I got to go. Okay, the alarm is going off. They say the building's about to burn down or something. So I got to go. So I'm like, shoot, let me grab my Louis bag. You know, all the stuff they tell you don't do when it's a fire. Let me grab my purse, get my laptop. Let me grab my Louis bag. Like them clothes, the clothes can burn that, but I just need to get my little stuff. So then we go. So then, my baby is with her. She's like, oh my God. Oh my God. She was like, what's going on? What's going on? She says it very properly because, they say she's bougie. She's like, what is going on here? What is going on here? Why is this alarm going off? So then we're on the 6th floor. So we got to grab our stuff and we're looking like, where's the exit? So, because they say it's a smoke alarm, we just start smelling smoke, whether it's there or not. We're like, oh my God, where's the stairs? So we go over to the stairs and we're on the 6th floor. So we going down and then Dem and the baby is together, but I'm in front of them. I hear my baby like, Mommy, wait for us. Mommy, wait for us. I'm like, shoot, I'm out of here. And we going down the stairs. We get down there. Half of the hotel is in the lobby. Like everybody's waiting at the front desk because we're like trying to figure out what's going on. So we stand there by the door. Nobody says anything. We're just standing there looking at each other. You know what's going on? I don't know what's going on. What's going on? I'm like, the staff don't look like they're pressed. So we're like, what's going on? We're all just congregating, looking at each other like, okay, alarm's still going off. What's going on? So then one of the guys was like, the alarm went off. Like, what was the reason for the alarm going off? She's like, it was just a false alarm. You guys can go upstairs, go back to your rooms if you want to. And everybody looked like, what? She's like, it's a false alarm. So, ma'am, when were you going to tell us that it was a false alarm? Like when we were just sitting here chit-chatting for the next hour, we're literally in your face and you're at the counter and you're just looking at us. All of us sitting there, nothing in your head say, why are these people like congregating down here? She's like, oh no, it happens all the time. So then we're all looking like pissed off because, some of us really are not on the bottom floor. So we're like running down the stairs. She's like, something goes on where this happens every now. It happens all the time where the alarm goes off. And she was like, it eventually stopped. And she said it so nonchalantly, like it eventually stopped. And then she was like, we don't have a universal system so that we can like go on like a PA and announce to everybody that it's a false alarm. Everything about Fulton County just seemed jacked up. I don't know. We're downtown. We are not like in the hood like that. We are literally downtown. I'm looking at tall buildings right now. And you're telling me this happens all the time and you got us running downstairs panting. What if it's people with oxygen tanks? What if it's people that's handicapped? Like what? And you said don't use the elevator. That's what the announcement said. So then Dev is standing there looking like this. This is how he looking. And he's looking at them like this. So he just starts going off on everything that happened. He was like, I had to sit on the plane. He said, I had to sit on the plane. There was a dog that was next to us, and the dog was panting the whole time. And then the dog kept, I don't know what he was doing, but the dog was pooting. So I wasn't smelling all that. He was right there, like next to the dog and out. It's like the dog was pooting. All I smelled was panting and booty the whole trip. I know people was looking at him like, sir, are you okay?
Listen, I need to explain. I need to explain. If y'all have ever been around a dog that between his breath, his balls, and his butt, all three of them are stinking at the same time, and y'all know ain't no fresh air in a plane. So that air just circumvents. So all I kept smelling was breath, balls, and butt for 2 hours. Pam and my daughter was asleep. And the dog was next to me, so all I kept smelling is balls and butt. I'm traumatized.
He said, wait a minute, he gonna say, I'm like, why does your dog have gas? Why is this dog smelling like this? Do you need to sew it up? Like so then he said, between this hotel and this car and this plane ride, they gonna give me thousands of points for this trip. I want all my points back for this trip.
Y'all, when I sent my email,
oh my gosh, I can't. I told you guys in the beginning, I knew when I went into that airport and we were like, it was hardly nobody at Detroit Metro Airport. Nobody was really there. I was like, cool, man. We're going to start leaving on Wednesdays and do our trips on Wednesdays because it was just, everything was cool. We go in there. And when we go in there, it's a lady. She's sitting on the end. Deb goes to get food. So me and my daughter, we're sitting on the road. And the lady, she's there and she got her phone. And she done propped herself up with a pillow. And she's watching a movie. And it's loud as heck. And all you hear is, ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias. Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? ¿Dónde es libertaria? Like, it's like straight up in Spanish. And it was loud. Like it was so loud on the road. So I tell my daughter, I'm like, we're about to move. So Deb had already left to go get food while we're there. So I'm sitting over there by the window. He comes back and we moved, and the girl is on a seat by herself. He was like, why did you guys move? I was like, because this lady is rude. And I told her, like, it's more than one person here. Can you put your headphones on, turn it down? And then she want to act like she can't speak English. I guess she was able to get away with that because she was watching a whole movie that was only in Spanish. She was looking at me like, I'm like, no hablas inglés? Un poquito? Nada? No comprendo, estúpido? Like, listen, I'm going to pull up my little Spanish. Listen, I'm going to need you to turn that down because it is too, like, how you just going to make us all watch the Spanish channel? Like, why are you doing that? Get some headphones. So then Deb come back like, why did you guys move? And I told him, he was like, Pam, is that Christ-like? Is that how Jesus would act? It's like, no, he probably would have flipped over that phone. That's what he probably would have did. Oh, rude lady. I said, see, I knew it. I was like, I ain't feel like we had booked this a while ago. That's why I decided to go ahead and come. I was like, I don't know. Then we got on the plane and then we sitting there and the dog is just like sounded like the dog needed an oxygen tank. Like, no lie. At first, I almost thought it was a person that literally could not breathe. And I'm looking around like, what is this noise? Like, why is this like the plane? If the plane sounded like this, I'm getting off because something ain't right. And then I go and I look and I'm like, this dog over here. But I was by the window part. And then my baby was in the middle and Dad was on the end. So he was like right next to the dog. The dog was in the aisle on the other side. So when he come out, he was like, that dog stunk so bad. So I wasn't really smelling the dog, but he was right there. Like, I heard the breath in the pants, but I didn't smell it. He was like right there to smell it. So he had a whole attitude when he got off. He had a whole attitude when we got off of there. So anyway,
pray for me, y'all.
Anyways, it's been a long day, but I'm here, y'all. I'm here. So when I get like these comments from people like that lady that was like, ma'am, why you don't come on enough? I pay $4 a month. And then turn around and say, well, the membership, let me look through and see if it's anything in there I haven't seen. How you complaining and you don't even know if you've seen what was in my membership or not? You don't even know what content is in there. You just complaining. Anyways, this is part 2 of my first video because we thought we were a goner. We thought we came to Atlanta and that it was already happening and it was over for us. You know what I'm saying? We done ran down flights of stairs only to hear, oh, this happens all the time. It was a false alarm. So anyway, 504 said y'all should have dropped the emergency oxygen mask. I can't do it. This has been rough. So you know what? When I come outside, I expect a whole lot of y'all. Get your super chats ready. When I come outside of that courtroom on tomorrow, even if you don't like nothing I say, just act like it. Be like, yay, Pam, that was good. Now you just did that. That's what I want. Because this has been a rough ride for me to freaking give this information. Jeez. Oh, hey, B. Lenore, how are you? But yeah, you gotta, if you didn't see the first video, you gotta catch that first video. It's, oh, Lord, child, it's been rough. All right. So we were talking about Diddy before I was rudely interrupted. Then they're gonna say, I'm like, is Trump already like causing chaos? Like, is he already causing chaos? Like, why is my day like this? He ain't even in office yet. I'm gonna blame everything on him now. That's kind of where it's going. This is where we were at, I think. So Diddy is still trying to get some control on all of this talking. Because the guy, like I told you guys, that was being represented by Ariel Mitchell Kidd, who at first Ariel went on News Nation and was saying that she saw a still picture from a video and that somebody was trying to shop it around to the celebrities to see if they can get some type of money off of it, like a catch and kill situation. She actually gave the advice that she felt like they should just go ahead and I guess do give the money. I don't know what that was all about, but that's what it sounded like she was saying to me when they asked her, what do you think you would do? But anyway, I don't know if this is the same guy, but I mean, I think it's coinky dink that this guy comes out about a couple of weeks later, and then he was on a platform where he gave his story, and he basically was saying that he was on the phone with the friends, and while he was on the phone with his friend, the friend was at Kim Porter's home. And Kim Porter, of course, is the baby mama of Diddy. And Kim Porter, the friend puts him on speakerphone, puts the phone on speaker, and Kim says, hi. That was really the gist of their conversation. But apparently that was his way of validating that she wrote this book that he has, because couple of hours after that high, she came to his home. Not she came to his home, but the guy who he was on the phone with came to his home, and they had this flash drive. So allegedly, it went from he had videos to he just saw the videos, so he didn't really want to look at the videos because they had a couple minors on them, but he explained who the minors were that were on the videos, and he's done a few interviews. Well, apparently the feds, of course, they're watching everything that's happening. And so he got called in to testify in front of the grand jury. And if you saw a TMZ clip, it was him and Ariel Mitchell Kidd, and they were holding up a flash drive, I guess, that he supposedly had. So I really don't know if he actually has videos or doesn't have videos. No clue. But nonetheless, he has talked in front of the grand jury. And again, his attorney, as soon as anybody talks or something happens, his attorney is like, I am so sick of these people. Dear judge, make it stop. Please make it stop. Like, he's typing up, because I promise you, they do a letter at least every week about somebody talking about something that has to do with Diddy. Is that enough? I don't believe she wrote that book. I personally don't believe that was a book from her. I see a couple of people feel like it's validated because of this guy. It's too much hearsay within hearsay. I don't see how anything in there could possibly be admissible, especially since you've had a couple of people such as Al B. Sure and Gene Deal, who were mentioned in the book, who said it was not true when it pertained to them. So I personally don't believe, because it's hearsay. And if they get on there and say that's not true, then it makes it seem like the whole thing is fictional. Secondly, my issue is it was only like a little pamphlet. Like it was like 50 pages or whatever. This woman had a whole life. She had a career. If you're going to do a memoir about your life, yes, Diddy is a part of that process. However, you were a model. How did you get into the industry? You had kids. You had a relationship with Al B. Sure. You had all of this stuff that happened, but the only thing that you decide that you want to write about is Diddy, and that's it. And put it on a flash drive. That's a quick read, that people could read it. Like a lot of people have read the book over the, on the internet, on their platforms. And I just don't think it can be validated. Now, if she really, in my opinion, if she really wanted the world to know different things about Diddy, then what I believe personally is that she should have got with her lawyer, or she would have got with her lawyer. And just like you do a will, you can have a certain document. She could have had a whole big thick book, had it in the safe or whatever it was, and say, hey, on the day, if I, happen to die on that day, this can be released. You would do it in a way where it can be authenticated, of which perhaps she does an affidavit or something and says, yes, this is me. Otherwise, you cannot authenticate that. Like, how are you authenticating this document? Because everybody is saying, even the white guy that came out. Now, this black guy said that he put out the book, I think, even before the white guy that came out. Because when I looked on Amazon at first, there were 3 different books with different covers on it. So that's what I was telling people, like, this isn't the first time it came out. It just, when he got indicted, I know that it came out like a week before or something, but there were other books that were similar, the same amount of pages with some of the same excerpts that had came out in other books a few months before. It just wasn't selling. Nobody was buying it until all the stuff that happened with Diddy. So me personally, I don't think that it's, and I don't even know how they would be able to admit it into evidence. I don't know how any of it's literally hearsay within hearsay. So I don't know. V. Lenore said, Pam, he said he received the info 6 months before Kim's passing. That Shakir Stewart gave it to him, but Shakir passed 10 years prior. I don't know. It just generally, the math wasn't mathing for me. I'm just like, and then some of the stuff in there were rumors that were already out there. A lot of the stuff that I read, I didn't buy the book. I just, perused YouTube and watched all the people that did buy the book. And they basically were saying, with some, it's salacious. People want to listen to the salaciousness, but it just seemed, I don't know. I don't know how they will authenticate that. Like people just, all that stuff is not going into evidence. Everything you see out here, half of it probably is not going to be deemed admissible. You have to be able to set a foundation on where it came from. How can you prove she wrote this? And her best friend, I guess, came out and said that she didn't write it, but then some people said that she's supposed to be related to Diddy. So I don't know. But I'm not buying it personally. I don't believe it's real. But hey, I don't know none of these people. You know what I always say? Put my disclaimer. Biggie deal is always sitting somewhere fucking up somebody's love seat like that dog next to dead. You know what?
Right.
504, you need, listen. I love to hear Kamora's opinion. You know, we know Russell. I'm trying to watch what I'm saying because I like to be in court, but I usually like to be representing somebody. I ain't trying to be on the other side of the B. But with Kamora, it's alleged she was basically groomed and then she was with them. But the thing is this, even when they got a divorce, her and Russell were like homeboys. You know what I'm saying? Like they were really cool. And like that's how he got caught up in losing all this money when she married the last guy, Lesserin or whatever his name is, that ended up going to prison because he went into deals with them. So they were really tight. So it was interesting to me when all of this hate trying for Russell happened towards him with her and the daughters about a year ago. So I be feeling like a lot of this stuff is just set up so people could be like, I got clean hands, and they're trying to distance themselves. And I think Kamora's trying to distance herself too. I think she knows a whole lot. And I think that some of this stuff, some people are going to be surprised to find out what may have been consensual and what may have not been consensual. But we don't know none of these people. We're just all speculating over here on the internet. But I don't know, my tie. I don't know none of them. I don't know them folks. Don't know none of them. Bible lady said Kamora's lips are as tight as Sonya. Wish her cheeks were when she, you know what? You guys are. I don't know. I think we're going to be shocked at some of the stuff because I've seen twists and turns of cases, and I think it's very interesting. It has been a ridiculous amount. See, when Nesto and his team is trying to say that it's been just this crazy amount of coverage of him, it's not a crazy amount of coverage for him. You got a few YouTubers. You don't have Entertainment Tonight. You don't got TMZ. You don't have the Shade Room. None of them are posting Nesto. Like once he first went to jail, perhaps that was like a big thing. But when it was found out, rather, because he was in jail a little minute before we found out when it was on the Zoom. Maybe when she filed for divorce, like those type of things. But like he got motions, or he files a motion to suppress, or he has a court date. They're not following him like that. Now, Diddy, on the other hand, every time he goes to court, even if it's a settlement conference, which usually is just you going over to see what's going on with the case, what your progression is with the case. Do you need more time for discovery? When is your cutoff dates for expert witnesses? When are you going to present your information for expert witnesses? When are you going to file your witness list, your initial disclosures, all of that? It's like procedural stuff. Diddy's case, you got all the media outside with cameras to watch the procedural parts. So that is an enormous amount of media coverage. You got the AP, you got, if it was not federal court, if it was state court, you best believe all of them will be up in that courtroom trying to stream. All of them. So that is what, when we, like Nesto was just getting like YouTubers. And honestly, I think if Sonya wasn't doing some of the shenanigans she was doing, this probably would have even went away for him for a lot of YouTubers a long time ago. With me, it's more so bringing the process. Like tomorrow's supposed to be an evidentiary hearing. A lot of people don't know what an evidentiary hearing entails. A lot of people don't know they put witnesses on to see if certain evidence is going to be admissible or not. And I think that's a process that I would like my channel to see. But as far as Nesto, them people don't care. You think law and crime care? They in the building doing YSL and they don't care. They have never tried to put a Rule 22 in for freaking Ernest Williams. Okay? Not now Rule 22. All of them come from us. They fighting all of us on the Rule 22s. So I get it. His attorney is like, listen, how do I get up? And then Diddy is known around the world. So we only know, like, even the Nesto thing is something in Georgia or people that know who Shirley Strawberry is. He can go probably to the next county over if he wanted to, and still, like, they probably don't even know him. So I can totally see this request for Diddy as opposed to the request when Ernest was trying to gag us and stuff. Like, what? Side West said, do you think they might be agents of chaos? They seem like their plans to feed the false allegations that the dealer is trying to convey. Plus, thank you for your time, Pam. Thank you so much. Do you think they may be agents of chaos? I do think this is a circus, and I do think there's a lot of information. Like, how realistically, how can he get a fair trial? If you imagine, so you go and to pick a jury. He's supposed to go to trial next year. You go and you pick a jury. You go on to try to pick a jury, and your first question is, how many people knows who Sean Combs is, aka Diddy, aka Love, blase, blase. Everybody gonna raise their hand. Unless you are living under a rock. And it's in New York. Like, that's where he got the key to the city. That's where he's gotten, most of his career was at. Most of his donations. He did the school there. Who is not gonna know who Diddy is? So now they have to believe when you say, I'm not gonna be biased, because there are gonna be some people that want to be on the case with Diddy. They want to be a juror. Even though a lot of people run from jury duty, that's a case people are going to want to be on. Then you got to go through what they heard and what they knew, and did they have an opinion on it? It's going to take a minute to try to get a jury in this case. So I think his attorney is doing what's necessary in order to try to prevent any further damage, because I think there is case law that based on media and the effects of it, sometimes there have been appeals that have been successful in overturning. So those keys to the city don't open up nothing but cells. I don't even understand the key to the city. He just got another key to the city taken in Miami, just randomly. Just like how Joe Biden decided not to run again. Just wake up one day like, what to do, what to do. I'll take this key that doesn't open up anything to the city. I'm taking it back from Diddy, who was in jail and probably don't even know that you took the key back anyway. What was your point? I didn't even know he had a key to the city in Miami. I think when it came to New York, people knew, and so they were on Eric Adams' head about it. So that's why he had to make some moves. But Miami, like, nobody even knew. PW said if a potential juror says Diddy is a rapper, then they're in because they don't know them folks. I have jury duty on the 18th, and I feel like I'm going to end up on the case. Well, if you sound too eager, they might be like, nah, bro. They too eager to be on this case. Lady said Diddy should have thought about that when he decided he wanted to be an international freak out king. Well, I think you mixing him up with the dude from Abercrombie and Fitch, because he was the one that's accused of international trafficking. And we don't even talk about him at all. You see what I'm saying? Like he's out on bond and he's accused of an international ring. Like not just here in the United States of America. The only person on the case with the Abercrombie and Finch ex CEO is there was a guy, I think his last name was Smith. He was the only one that ended up being denied bond because he is not a U.S. citizen. Other than that, both of them got bond. He got bond for $10 million. I thought that thing was blinking again, about to go off. I was about to say,
So you got PTSD.
Say I got PTSD. I literally saw it out the corner of my eye, like that thing about to go off again. But yeah, he had a $10 million bond. I think the other guy that was on there got 500,000 or something. So he said he is dangerous and should not be out on bond. Yeah. I think Trump might let some. See, one thing Trump ain't afraid of, he don't care what any of y'all think. He is going to let people out that he wants to. He already said the ones that got convicted of the insurrection, he was going to let them out. So he said he was pardoning them. So it's a wrap.
You know what else is hard about the Diddy case?
Mm-hmm.
With all the businesses that he had in New York, think about all the ex-employees and people that were connected. Wherein picking a jury, that's going to be real difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So this was to the judge on November 5th. We write on behalf of our client, Mr. Sean Combs, in further support of the motion to restrict extrajudicial statements by potential witnesses and their counsel, and in reply to the government's opposition as instructed by the court on November 4th. In its opposition, the government argues that the requested relief would either result in an order that applies to all civil complainants and their lawyers or require the government to prematurely disclose its victims and witnesses. Either scenarios is entirely appropriate. First, an order that applies to all potential witnesses, including all those who claim to be victims, and their lawyers is entirely appropriate and required by the Sixth Amendment under the circumstances. Contrary to the government's misleading suggestions, the proposed relief does not rely solely on the confines of Local Rule 23.1. Rather, the requested relief stems from the Sixth Amendment and the Supreme Court decision in Shepard and its progeny. The local rule developed to address the tension between defendants' Sixth Amendment rights to a fair trial and First Amendment interests merely codifies what is already established, that certain speech can be restrained to ensure a fair trial. As the Supreme Court explained in Shepard, trial courts have an affirmative constitutional duty to mitigate the effects of pretrial publicity to ensure that the defendant receives a fair trial. And that's in Shepard v. Maxwell. In Shepard, the Supreme Court observed that, quote, bedlam reigns in the courthouse, end quote, with inadmissible and inaccurate information being leaked to the public. The Supreme Court explained that the trial court might well have prescribed extrajudicial statements by any lawyer, party, witness, or court official which divulge prejudicial matters. And then it got the case law. In In re Dow Jones, the Second Circuit held that a gag order on trial participants is justified if a court finds that pretrial publicity pose such a threat to defendants' Sixth Amendment rights as to justify the restraining order and that no other available remedies would effectively mitigate any prejudicial publicity. These possible remedial measures include change of venue, trial postponement, a searching voir dire, emphatic jury instructions, and sequestration of jurors. And that's what they're going to say. Like, you can ask that during voir dire. That's probably what they're going to argue. That test is easily met here. The level of media attention on this case is unprecedented and is on track to overshadow those cases where convictions have been overturned based on pretrial publicity. See Skilling v. United States, it's a 2010 case discussing cases where convictions were reversed, where trial atmosphere was corrupted by press coverage. Imagine the case being reversed because of all of this coverage, because some attorneys felt that it was a great idea to go ahead and file a bunch of civil lawsuits saying I'm gonna file 80 lawsuits and go do all these press conferences, and then because of that, if he's convicted, it gets overturned because of the ridiculous amount of press. That would really suck. And because of the overwhelming nationwide attention on this case, no other remedies can mitigate the media coverage. In order, restricting public statements by potential witnesses, purported victims, and their lawyers is more than justified under the circumstances. And they quote in Ray Dow Jones again, upholding gag order restraining extrajudicial speech by trial participants. And then another case. Such an order is especially appropriate in this situation where the civil litigants and their lawyers stand to benefit from a conviction and are therefore highly motivated to make prejudicial statements to the press and to disseminate highly damaging and false information. So they're saying if Diddy is convicted, these civil lawyers, it will help their cases. So because it will help them, then it benefits them to go out in this public and start leaking information that's damaging. And, and according to him, he's saying this information is also false. But if he gets convicted, I can't imagine the ridiculous amount of restitution he probably would have to pay if he gets convicted, and they probably wouldn't get $1. So I'm not sure. I get what they're saying, but I see on the other side how if he gets convicted, then where's the money going to come from? Because I think the government is going to try to argue that most of the money is from ill-gotten gain, and therefore it's subjected to be snatched up and seized. So anyway, the government does not even attempt to address this authority and instead argues that Mr. Combs should have to seek relief in each of the civil cases on a case-by-case basis from the capable and experienced judges who are free to assess whether any sort of gag order is appropriate in a fashion remedy. So basically, the government argued in their response that, judge, we don't need a gag order here. If he got problems with these attorneys in the civil cases, then why don't you go ahead and you have him address those within those civil cases and get a gag order on each of those civil cases. That's not for us to do. And so he goes on to say, there are currently 30 pending civil cases against Mr. Combs in state and federal courts in New York, California, and Michigan. Putting aside the obvious inefficiencies and other hurdles to the government's facially absurd suggestion, those judges are not responsible for ensuring that Mr. Combs receives a fair criminal trial. That is the court's affirmative constitutional duty. The government's suggestion also does nothing to address the prejudicial publicity created by witnesses who have not brought civil claims, such as the grand jury witness and his attorney, who recently made numerous claims to the media. So that would be the guy that said that he got that flash drive and he saw some disgusting tapes. And he said that there were also minors on those tapes. And literally TMZ caught them right after he testified, I think, to the grand jury, or was on his way, one of them. And then he's done several interviews after that as well. So they have a footnote that says the government also argues that the court should hear from third parties on this issue. The Crime Victims' Rights Act does not afford victims the right to be reasonably heard on issues other than at proceedings involving release, plea, sentencing, or any parole proceeding. So basically, if the government wants these people like Ariel Mitchell or her client to come in, no, they shouldn't come in, because they don't have the right to come in, is what they're trying to argue. The government also argues that a more limited gag order on witnesses should be denied because it is simply another way to get at the relief sought in the bill of particular motion. But the relief sought in Mr. Combs' request for a bill of particulars is entirely justified, as he argued in his letter motion, given the sprawling nature of the allegations in the indictment and the constant stream of false accusations made by new civil complainants every week. Mr. Combs is entitled to know the nature of the charges against him so that he can prepare his defense. It would also be highly appropriate to require the government to produce an early witness list under these unique circumstances where there is substantial risk of unfair surprise. The government appears to suggest that it would be impossible, a quote, fool's errand, end quote, for it to attempt to compile a witness list now while it is still investigating. But it cannot be the case that whenever the government is continuing to investigate, it is relieved from prosecuting the charges that have already been brought, are currently pending, and that serve the basis for keeping a defendant in pretrial custody. Requiring the government to disclose its known victims and witnesses now does not prevent the government from adding additional witnesses in the future based on new charges. The solution is simple. The order could be entered now and amended at the future date as case needs dictate. What is clear now, see that's in italics, so they wanted us to emphasize that, is that gag order is needed now. Given the extraordinary media attention devoted to this case, extrajudicial statements of this sort made by the grand jury witness last week will continue unabated until this court takes action to rein in the circus and preserve the defendant's right to a fair trial. We appreciate the court's consideration. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that his attorney has a point here? That people need to stop talking and just, wait for the trial and see all this information within the trial? What do you guys think? Also, on one of the civil cases too, so the guy Bugsby, the attorney that said he had 120 cases he was going to file, he's filed a number of cases we know already. And on some of the cases, what the judges were doing, because they've all had different judges, he's just filed them and they all get random judges. Some of the judges, he was asking, you have to ask the court permission to be able to continue under a pseudonym like John Doe or Jane Doe. So some of the judges were saying, yes, we'll let you go under a pseudonym. However, it's only going to be up until the defendant enters an appearance, and then they're going to be able to do an opposition to it, and then we'll revisit it. But they've been allowing them to do it up until then. Where there was a judge who was like, nah, bro, whoever it is, they're going to have to say their name. And no, I'm not going to allow you to do it under a pseudonym. So then they did a motion for reconsideration because that person is supposed to be scared. So they don't want to come out or whatever. And so the judge was like, no. So then they also tried to say, well, how about we combine these cases so you can have this case be combined with another case where basically the judge allowed it to go under a Jane Doe or John Doe now, and saying, trying to say how they're so familiar and the same facts and the same defendants and all of that, just different plaintiffs. And the judge was like, yeah, no. So they have I think until November 11th or sometime next week in order to reveal who the person is. So that was one out of a few that he's filed where the judge was like, yeah, no. So people talked about some of those cases were dismissed, but they were dismissed mainly because he had just filed under a pseudonym without getting the court's permission, and you have to get the court's permission. You don't got the right to just say Jane Doe. You have to show reasoning why. Because again, the defendant's name is public. So they're like, why is it yours public? So there is that. What else am I missing? What else didn't we talk about? Kiss a Smooth said, yes, there's a point, but I feel Ariel is a plant just for that very purpose. So I would feel what you're saying, but let's look on this side. I get your point, Kiss a Smooch. But Ariel has been a part of a number of cases and have been trying to get her footing, you can tell, into this going against these celebrities. So she currently, if you don't know, I've said it before, she currently has a case against Trey Songz, which is in Miami, and it all occurred at Diddy's house. And she actually put Diddy in that complaint. However, Diddy was never served. She's been going back and forth with the attorney for Trey Songz, who was giving her the business. Like, really was trying to come after her with the state bar reporting her and everything. We know that she also brought an action against Chris Brown. Chris Brown came with some receipts. And apparently Chris Brown has a documentary. I have not watched it, but from my understanding, Ariel Mitchell was in that Chris Brown documentary as well. So I don't know about that. I think she really is just trying to get her footing and, kind of like I don't know, Gloria Allred and her daughter. I don't know. So I'm not sure. But I hear what you're saying, I think that's a valid speculation. But I don't know. I'm just saying. Well, that's your opinion. I don't say it's valid, but I'm just saying, like, I hear I see your point. Why you may assume that, but I don't personally think that that's what it is, because I think that she's really been trying to go after her. She was representing Duty Low in a lawsuit as well. So this is what she's been doing. Bible lady says she's staying book busy and not credible. Only case I seen her win was, and I don't know her record. Ain't like I've been like following her or anything, but she did win that Duty Low case. But again, she went against somebody that was pro se, meaning they didn't have an attorney. And it went to trial. Like, they took it to the mat. So she went against a girl that was representing herself in that trial. So I know that I can't imagine how much stuff probably was let in, because that means literally, when you go, the judge can't help you for real. I think the judges should, but the judge can't help you if you're pro se. So just imagine everybody that watched the YSL trial, how many objections you hear, how many times they say that's not admissible, how you're leading, how you're speculating, how it's hearsay. If you're representing yourself, all that stuff is getting in. That transcript is probably all over the place, because somebody pro se doesn't know how to object. So you're probably sitting there like letting him tell a whole story, have him on the stand, so he could just give a whole narrative of, yeah, I was over there one day and he said and she said and they said, and the judge probably just sitting over there like, but it's nothing. Like, if you don't know to object, then you're not going to object. The judge isn't going to say that's hearsay, that's hearsay, you can't say that. The judge is a referee. They're not going to tell you how to conduct the case. So that's why I said she went against a pro se person, and I know the pro se person didn't know what the heck to do. They probably didn't do any motion in limines, didn't know how to get certain information that really shouldn't have been admissible, admitted. So it was like a free range, like no rules almost, except for the judge, what little things that they said. But other than that, it wouldn't have been much rules. Said Erica, one more cases for Nesta. Erica Erica got a couple W's under her belt. I seen the order, like she won that too. Dang. One of the ones that she pled guilty on. I wonder what Erica doing. She over there staying out of trouble. You ain't heard nothing else from Erica King. She escaped going back to that jail. She said, Miss Pam, I was drinking cereal and eating it out of a soap dish. She was talking about Wright Street. She said, I can't never go back. I seen them tase. They was tasing these girls. They was huge, and they would just get back up. They was just tasing people, tasing them left and right. I don't want to go back. She said, "You can give me 20 years of probation. Just don't make me go back." Do we know for sure he spoke to the grand jury? That's what he said. Let me find that video. That's what he said. If he didn't, he told the lie. Let me see. What is that again? It was TMZ grand jury witness. Let me see. Here you go. Ooh.
Have the feds been in contact with you? I did watch your YouTube interview. I saw as of 2 weeks ago they haven't been in contact with you. What about today?
Yes.
So they have been in contact with you. Is that why you're here today?
Yes.
Okay.
Homeland Security.
Oh, wow. So were you surprised, or was that the call that you were kind of waiting for?
Surprise.
Oh. So like interview, like how do you do with it, or?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you know Sean Combs?
Generation. Frank Lucas, a guy, his father. Then we was in the music business for 30 years together.
So you personally know him, have
Not who, no personally.
Sean Combs.
Not
Diddy.
personally.
But you know of him, he knows
I know
of you.
him, yeah. I used to be in Tupac, Hussein Fatal. He stopped a lot of my music.
I know of Sean Combs too. I'm just saying I've known of him since I was about 12. So I've known of Sean Combs for a while as well. Saying. He's like, huh? Yeah.
A lot of other people who didn't care about him. You understand? It's not around today.
Right. So
Like Stewart from Def Jam Records.
You made a lot of allegations, right? Are you expected to eventually turn those things over, or?
Well, that's what we're going to head over to do now. So we have a hearing now to determine what we're going to do in terms of what documents we need just to get him to the grand jury. He was subpoenaed by the court. So as we all know, if you don't.
So I'm telling y'all, like, if she was not, did she not just say that he was there to give testimony to the grand jury? They asked, why were you here today? And she said, just to give testimony to the grand jury. So if it's a lie, they told it.
He was subpoenaed by the court. So as we all know, if you don't answer a subpoena, the marshals will come to your house as they came to his house and they will bring you here. So that's why we're here today.
I know you can't mention celebrities per se. You did mention some in the interview. So just to clarify, you can back that up with actual factual footage.
We have things that we have, but we got to go to the other courthouse. So I don't know if that's any more questions, but we got another hearing to go.
Only thing's fair to me is God.
I know you did mention what was on the flash drive before. Would you be able to kind of go over that now, or is that something that you can't discuss?
No, we're trying to just go that now. What we in terms of what was available, what was on the flash drive.
Okay.
But it was the book. So
it is Kim Porter's book, but not necessarily some of the stuff with the celebs that were mentioned besides.
It's hers. Nobody touched it.
Oh, so it is her official book.
Yes. Nobody.
And no one touched it.
Nobody altered it. Nothing.
So it's not the copy that the gentleman said that he was selling before. No.
Two different copies. One was and we have the copy.
So you're saying that the other copy was an actual real copy, even though the family said it wasn't.
A derivative work.
The only way the family say that is because I forgot his name. Albie Shore.
Yeah.
And besides that, how they know? A lot of stuff their mother did, they didn't know. And I'd like to say apologize to the mother and the family for the picture being on front of it.
Right.
You understand? I didn't put it there.
Right.
So, they got to worry about bigger things.
Right.
Than what her diary was. You understand?
Right.
They should have started worrying when he was beaten.
Right.
when you start worrying about your mother after the fact.
Oh, he got a little greasy. I only saw a smaller clip. I didn't know he was talking about, oh, y'all worried about it now. Y'all should be worried about it when he was beating her. Dang. Sheesh. He got a little greasy in this conversation.
Right. So the book, do you think it'll ever like be open to the public or after this or?
That'll be the next thing. I've been contracted to go to Amazon and work out whatever legalities that may have existed prior so that we can republish the book.
Wow, so the public will get to see her actual words and thoughts.
So very soon, the actual unedited version. We'll be putting that out soon.
So I mean, I'm wondering, do you own the rights, I guess, or how does that work?
I guess the own rights was given to me, right?
I say possession is not for the law. So.
You hear that? I guess it's man, it was given to me. But see, Gene Deal was saying as part of it was not true because his name was in there on when, and it was something like minor on, I think like when he met Kim Porter and how they went in the car or something like that, and she was coming to the car and he opened up the door or something. And he was like, yeah, it's not true. It wasn't even nothing that was real major on how he said that's not how he met Kim Porter or the first time he met Kim Porter. So I don't know. V. Lenore said he's full of it. Sis, I'm leaning more towards in that direction as well. But you say he looks like TD Jakes, maybe. When I first looked at that, I did think there was two different people. And then once he kind of started talking, and I think it was really B may have told me about the interview. She talked about the interview he did, and that's what made me go look. And I made it through maybe about 15 minutes. And when he was saying, I got it, I know it was from her. I know 100% it was from her. And then because he went on after this, they went on News Nation. So once they went on News Nation, it was like the question was asked and he said, yeah, I know it was by her. She wrote it. And that's when he gave the information that she was at the house when he was talking to a guy that's his friend and put it on speaker and she said hi to him. I'm like, did she specifically tell you, hey, I got a package coming to your house that it's a manuscript that I just want you to have and nobody else, so keep it in safekeeping. And why would somebody give it to him? He talking about, I've been a part of the music industry for a long time. We know some of the same people, but I don't know him personally. I just know of him, of Diddy. So I don't know. It's all weird. I agree. You said TD Brown Jakes. I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know what else. Yeah, go back to the first video. I was on for an hour before I was really interrupted by an alarm that, we thought that it was, we thought it might be over. It was like, man, we on the 6th floor. We ain't jump. I mean, and it turned out to be a false alarm. So, but anyway. So make sure that did he say he was a songwriter? I don't know. He said he was in the music industry doing something. I was half paying attention to him. It is like 12:30. I got to get out in the morning so that I can go over there and see what's going on with Nesto and see what happened with YSL. I wonder if they're going to mention anything about the Kayla situation tomorrow. That'll be interesting to see if the state tries to use that situation in any way. But I'm going to come out and I'll probably just do a informal live. I'm not sure. Might do an informal live outside, maybe a pre-show thing, and then maybe do a main one, when I get back to the hotel. But heck, the way these hotels is working, I don't know, y'all. I'm about ready to go home. I might move my flight as soon as it's over with. I'm out of here. Oh, it's no YSL tomorrow. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. If you speak to Chris Todd, he explains exactly how he was given the book. I'm not interested in speaking to Chris Todd, but thank you so much, Tess. If she would have did that in a formalistic way, then I would be more inclined. But I'm just not. I get it. It's to a point where people just don't like Diddy, so a lot of people just want to believe everything. I think Diddy has probably let them prove their case. Let the government prove their case. They brought him in. He's been indicted. Let him prove his case. We don't need to like muddy it because what's going to happen, like I said before, is Diddy is not gonna lose all those civil cases. I can bet you. He's not going to lose all of them civil cases. And then once he starts winning one or two, then it'll start making you look side eyed at a lot of the other ones. And you don't want, like, if there are victims out there, you don't want that being overshadowed because of all this salaciousness. So, the book to me, no, I'm just not interested. But that's just me. Georgia says she is sitting over there listening to her friend's YouTube. Who? Who is doing that, Georgia Peach? Yeah, like why wouldn't you want it to be fair and square? Just let him fight his case. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when it comes to Diddy, y'all know how I feel about it. I mean, I think he showed who he was, not necessarily his actual escapades and that type of personal life. But when he was on TV, like he never portrayed to be a nice person. I don't think he ever tried to pretend that he was such a nice person. I think he always beat his chest and he always exerted his power and the power dynamic. I think he did that. And like when you look at Don Richard, you say all of these things that happened. Kalani, who was her in Dirty Money, is saying that it's not true. That's not her experience. But with Don Richard, like just 2 years ago, you say, this is what I can't get over with her lawsuit. You were saying you got treated so poorly and so horribly, but you were willing to allow other people to go through the exact same thing you alleged you went through just 2 years ago because you were going to be a part of making the band. They were going to do a reboot and she was going to be a judge. And she was encouraging people basically to be a part of it. If you say he was starving you, you couldn't eat, you was drinking water, you were dehydrated because how you were mistreated, you saw all of this abuse, you got locked in a car. Why would you want to subject other people that are newer to the industry, that have a dream and a thirst for their craft and to be on a professional level? Why would you subject them to that if you know that that's what's going to happen with being with Diddy? That doesn't click for me. Y'all can help me understand. That just does not click for me. It's nowhere in the world I know. That's just like for me. There are a couple of celebrities so I never really wanted to do entertainment law. But what happened is there were young actors. It was one young actor in particularly. So one year I was doing contracts for one of the basketball players for Detroit Pistons at the time, Andre Drummond. He was having a birthday party. And so I had a friend who was the person that was coordinating the party. So I was the attorney that was, doing all the legalities of it on a boat. So part of it was we had certain people that would open up and stuff and, like be a part of their, they had they would get nice looking guys and girls to come in and be like waiters and waitresses, and they walked around in cute little outfits and all of that stuff or whatever, serving the people on the boat because it was like a VIP. So it was basically Detroit Pistons and Lions and stuff that was on this boat. And it was a couple of young guys that were on there, and they were like they wanted to be a part of just working, servicing, and whatever. So they were on there to serve and give drinks and all of that. So one of the guys, one day, probably a month after everything happened, we had a conversation there about, he wanted to be an actor and all of that. He was about to move to Atlanta. So we had a conversation and he was like, I'm really serious about this. I'm like, cool. A month later, he was like, I want you to be my lawyer. I was like, I don't do entertainment and I'm not interested in doing it because it sounds boring. It's just contracts. Like, that sounds real boring. So he was like, I knew he was starting out. So he really didn't have any money. And I really didn't want him to get into this industry and get got, like, to be honest. So I was like, okay. So he had picked like 4 or 5 people that he was like, he prepared a meeting. It was like 5 of us. And he laid out his plan on what he planned on doing in this industry. So because I had not been in the industry, I knew someone. He just passed away like 6 months ago, but he was like my mentor when it came to, he was in the music industry like an entertainment lawyer. So he's represented everybody you can think of. So I was like, okay, well, I can connect him so I can make sure I know what I'm doing to help this guy. And one of the things that he told me was what parties to tell your client not to go to, what invitations to tell your client not to accept, like, it was almost a whole list. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And then Dev had his brother played, was it Suge Knight? I think Dev went to sleep. I think he played Suge Knight on one of them movies or whatever, the Biggie movie or one of the movies. He played Suge Knight. And he said the same thing. Like, there was just, I had other people that were around that were actors or lawyers that was like, no, don't go to this and don't go to that. So I was very quick when I decided to get into it, and I would help local Detroit people. Like, when people would call me from other states, I would say, oh, no, I don't do that. But local people, I will represent them because I knew I didn't want them to get out here and either get caught up in some stuff they can't get out of because they're not prepared for this industry, and they really just go in because they're eager and they're hungry for their craft. I didn't want them to get caught up in the game. And so I kind of took it on. It wasn't really for money. And so I did that for the music industry portion for people in Detroit. And I did it for like the actors and actresses as well. And this all started with him because he wanted me to do it. So it made me have to learn it. And I was like, shoot, ain't no sense in me learning just for you. So I'm going to take, 5, 6 clients and go ahead and represent them. So I say all that just to say, when I got the information, I was like, don't do this. Don't go to that party. Don't be around that person. This is what they want. I heard this happens at this event. Nope. He'll call me like, hey, I got tickets to BET. Who gave you the tickets? They'll tell me. I'm like, nope. I will go talk to somebody to see how they are. So people within the industry know who to avoid and who not to avoid. You know what I'm saying? And so for Don Richard to know that he is supposed to be like that, and you're saying you were traumatized and you give this whole soliloquy and then you were going to allow other people to do that, I just got a problem with it. But I mean, that's just me. I feel like we got to look out for each other. The problem is we are here. We're all here to serve, regardless of what capacity you're in. We're all here to serve. And we are here to also love people and to use money. And oftentimes we use people and we love money. And that's the problem. And so I wouldn't want nobody, if my daughter was out here, I got adult kids and they're out here trying to find their way, for them to know that you're going into a danger zone and you don't say anything. I always taught my kids, if you know that I don't care if it's the dude, if he out here beating you in your head, then you say, listen, you better have some boxing gloves because he might knock you out. Like, at least warn people. But some people are just so selfish because they went through it and nobody told them. They want you to go through it too. And I think it's wrong. But anyway. Chill. Yeah, he's a very good actor. He was in that Baby Driver too. Yeah, he was in a couple of good movies. But nonetheless, that's it. That's my soapbox for the day. But you guys, I'll be back on tomorrow because you guys know what I'm here for. But I'm about to go try to get some sleep. Everybody in here knocked out with me. I'm kind of hungry though, but that would be kind of greedy, right? To be eating at 12:49, 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just gonna hope that my growling stomach goes away because yeah. And I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Thank you guys for hanging and rocking with me. I appreciate that. You said it is wrong. Yes. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think a lot of stuff, if people warn people of some of this stuff, we wouldn't even be seeing it. But then you do got some people that's willing to, some people are willing to compromise themselves. You can warn them and they're going to do it anyway. But it's not, if you fall over into something, it's not, and I knew about it, it's not because I didn't warn you. Now, whether you decide, I tell people like, hey, this is the information I have, you do what you will with it. That's it. At the end of the day, it's your choice. But I think a lot of people went through things. You go through things just like our ancestors did, so the next generation doesn't have to. So it's a lot of things that some people just don't have to. If these people were at these parties and they was getting their head cracked and they were doing all this stuff and getting essayed and drugged and stuff, that should have been a clarion call. I don't even care, like, at least on the low key, to let somebody know, like, hey, you may not want to go there. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And all this stuff happening all these years is just beyond me. But hey, reparations are to tell Biden, because I told Biden needs to get out his gold pen with the diamond eraser, and I need him to just go ahead and just go have a party. Everything he think is unfair, he been talking that talk. I want to see him do some executive orders that is like, dang, Biden went off before he left. That's what I want to see. That's the least he can do since he put us in this lurch, put us in this bind. Because if he was having any cognitive declines before, this should have been addressed a long time ago. And it shouldn't have been somebody had 3 months to try to campaign every single day tirelessly. She definitely couldn't have been doing much of a VP work because she been out here in these streets. She probably slept so good. She's gonna sleep real good tonight. Because she been out here. I didn't see her concession speech. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, Jill Stein. I was looking at Jill Stein too. Jill Stein was again. All of those people got votes. There were like 2 million votes that went to those that were in the other parties that were Democrat and Republican. But of course, they didn't get any of the electoral votes. So, but that was still like 2 million votes, and people get mad. But I mean, if that's who you want to vote for, who you want to vote for? I mean, you would have lost just as much as Kamala lost at that point, but you vote for your issues and what you believe. Don't let nobody bully you into voting for what their beliefs are. We all should have a choice. And it definitely shouldn't divide us either. It shouldn't be where people are like, I ain't going to be your homie no more because you voted for so-and-so. Like, it shouldn't be that deep, but it was getting that deep. Like I said, these bishops and pastors was in the pulpit throwing blows. You had the white evangelical pastors was calling out the black church. I mean, it got real grimy over this election. We gonna be all right. We gonna be cool. Oh goodness, Andrea said Jill. Oh, okay. What's your question? Let me see. Is Ariel and TD Brown are lying about if Ariel and TD Brown are lying about testifying, can they get in trouble for that? Just curious. I mean, they didn't say that under oath or anything. I mean, that's the only way you would really get in trouble for but I don't see why she would lie about that. I also don't see why that would be announced either, but I don't see why she would lie about that, about the testifying part. But I think it'd be telling if nothing happens because of the testimony. That would mean that nobody thought anything of it. It just feels like a lot of this stuff is hearsay. He's saying he saw the videos. Okay. That's what you're saying. The book is, like I said, hearsay within hearsay, because she says a lot of things about in that book. Whoever wrote it is basically saying things about other people too. So Mary J. Blige will have to confirm it. I'm just ready for the trial. I'm ready for this trial, because honestly, that indictment was mainly based off of Cassie's lawsuit. And then that tape, now that's another thing. The government is saying they didn't even have the tape before it came out. That CNN was basically the first ones to have it, which I think is interesting. It's almost like the government is coming behind what's coming out, and they have all the key tools in order to get a lot of this information. But just like with this guy, they didn't call him in, I guess, until after he went and did an interview or something. You know, he got subpoenaed to come before the grand jury. I don't know. But anyway, I'm out of here, y'all, for real, because I'm sleeping in the mud. But I'll be back on tomorrow. Oop. Lord willing. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Go watch the first video, because this is just the second one. I had to abruptly get off because we thought our hotel was on fire. They told us that we were worrying for no reason after we walked down 6 flights of steps. But anyway, you guys have a good night. I'll be back on tomorrow.